years in international mobile and internet sectors, building on a master's degree in international development from Cornell University, where I focused on IT and emerging markets. My work has included a number of projects, including co-creating a mobile banking initiative called Ultralight Banking, which later became OboPay, Nokia Money, and serving as advisor to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, notably on matters of identity and trust in informal transaction decisions. Next page, please. The reason I created Maana Mobile is there's a significant problem of 3 billion people worldwide that drive a 10 trillion annual informal economy. And they're doing this with limited to no formal financial instruments. To give you a picture of what that means, you take a shopkeeper, a small shopkeeper in the slums of South Africa, and we've talked to hundreds there. These shopkeepers are faced with a day-to-day challenge of conducting business where cash is important, but nobody has it at the time that they need it. There's a constant borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, as shops must effectively do business on a handshake loan. And this is a fairly arduous process, as shopkeepers may typically manage 30 to 40 outstanding commitments at one time on 2-week terms to a month. The results can be a significant productivity loss, delays in restocking shelves, which affects turnover, and constraining business opportunities as they know and trust. Next page, please. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. I think a significant opportunity that we're seeing in addressing this has been mobile wallets. They offer progress in simplifying existing financial services and driving down to a broader population financial services that we've come to know and trust by making them simpler. And we see about 35 million of these wallets now active worldwide. But that's a drop in the bucket when you consider the 1.7 billion adults who are in need of formal financial services. And the 35 million number itself is fairly generous in that about half of that is in one country, Kenya, and we know that a good number of those early on were already banked. And sadly, as CGAP has pointed out, the consultative group to assist the poor within the World Bank unit, that about 90% of these wallets run dormant. Please hit the next button. The reason is there's a significant gap still between these formal financial services and how the 1.7 billion adults conduct business informally. This gap's created because banks aren't pursuing this. They think it's too costly relative to the return. Risk is very hard to assess when all this transaction activity is and the individuals are effectively invisible. And as I mentioned, the poor don't relate to these financial instruments. That's not how they're doing business today. For these 1.7 billion, they do their business in interpersonal financial services where the relationship is both the financial instrument and the asset in conducting, as I mentioned, handshake loans, group savings and lending, and simple trade co-ops and informal supply chains. Please turn the page. And that's where Maana Mobile comes in. With Maana, I hope to create a bridge between these informal practices and a ladder up into the formal financial services that banks can offer. And we're doing this by starting with the #1 most common informal practice worldwide, namely the handshake loan, and using this as a way to also create new business relationships. Maana at its heart is a mobile phone platform and tools to build relationships and more easily conduct business with old and newly formed contacts. The platform leverages an overlooked asset for many, their mobile phone, a contact book to find relevant connections between users on a transaction basis. We start with IOU, which is a very simple form to simply, within less than 15 seconds, select someone from a contact list and enter in the amount owed and the due date. And that information is stored in our cloud-based environment with Amazon. The beauty of this is it improves security. If you lose your ledger book, which we're competing with, you're at a loss. But if you lose your phone or it's stolen, the data is still preserved in the cloud view. Same with your contacts. We found that by creating a very simple application, we're able to get on about 70% of active phones today, the installed base simple feature phones. And that creates significant value in that we can use an asset that they already have and add an app that saves time and makes life easier. The system automates reminders the day before IOUs are due, which increases the likelihood of payments coming back on time. Subsequently, as these transactions are done, the data that is stored begins to lay a groundwork for an earlier stage of credit assessment, which can open the door for new loan products. Please turn the page. The benefits of Maana Mobile are several. For the customers, the immediate payback are getting paid back faster, easing cash management, and improving security, and as I mentioned, beginning to build the groundworks for reputation for credit. Secondly, too, by having access to the contact list, we can begin to invoke the sort of experience that we have in much like LinkedIn fashion, where if I come to your shop and you don't know me, we might find that there's a third party who we both know who will vouch for me. And that then expands the pool of transactions I'm able to do. For bank partners that we want to work with, by linking to their mobile wallets, we hope to increase their transaction volume by building on transactions these individuals are already doing and increase uptake of the mobile products. One of the most fascinating things that's come to light about the adoption of mobile money and mobile wallets is the single most important factor is in me adopting whether or not others are, as other people I know are adopting it as well. And since we have a lot of that knowledge through the social network and contact list, we might aid in driving greater growth. And if that's the bank going to customers, we're going to. And the social benefits are by creating this ramp for the poor to more formal financial services, we improve their lives and the greater economic opportunity for our country. Next page, please. Next page, please.
It's lagging a bit.
While that page is being turned, it talks to the market opportunity. We're focused right now and are present in South Africa, focusing on townships. We estimate the population for the townships that we're serving. The townships are the slums surrounding the major cities of Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Durban. And for them, there's about 4.5 million people there. And our initial target are the heavy transactors, the individuals who are operating shops or managing savings and lending clubs, of which the total is a minimum of 1.8 million on the shops. And we also know there are about 11 million people that are involved in savings and lending clubs. I believe we have a, oh, there we go. There's a, so we can go on to the next slide. If you look at Maana Mobile compared to alternatives, you see that we fit nicely between informal practices like the personal ledger and these informal savings and lending clubs where we add value to what they're already doing by simplifying the processes and adding some value like reminders. But we also provide linkages to services that banks and MFIs typically offer. And the data that we collect can help us help banks to better assess risk for these invisible populations. Next slide, please. Our product architecture, as I mentioned, we're in the Amazon cloud as a cloud-based service, and we're dependent on standard platform technology there. And on the user interface side, we're able to serve all phones. We serve multiple communication channels, but we're pretty proud in that probably one of the most salient aspects is we've managed to create a very simple application that allows us to access the contact list, which can get on about 70% of the installed base of phones, which is quite surprising when you look at traditional statistics on estimates of phone capabilities among the poor. Our roadmap, right now this platform is live in the cloud. As it's virtualized, it's fairly easy for us to scale, and it's been coded in a way to be multilingual. And the IOU feature is live as well. With our next funding round, we'll use that to integrate payments. We're working with a bank now already in trial, linking reminders to payments to mobile wallets for the merchants that we serve, and to integrate airtime resale, which has been of high demand and creates a path for us for lending by lending specifically on airtime initially. And then later we'll open up our group features, which are currently in the test environment, and allow for a group to manage an IOU very much the way informally savings and lending groups operate today. Next page, please. We've got a good core to start with. Maana was formally incorporated with partner Miguel Grenier in Invested Development. Miguel, in his own right, has deep experience in microfinance, which has been brought to bear. And over the past year, I've been building up a core team down in South Africa with expertise in marketing, banking, online operations, and a colleague of mine who's originally from Swaziland from the .com days, who will play the role of CTO. He knows the systems very well. I trust him immensely from the work I've seen him do, and he knows my target customer set. And finally, we've brought into the fold individuals from the townships, youth primarily, who I've taught to do sales as they know their markets well. These are the group we hope to grow in the current year. Next page, please. We have ambitious goals this year with, hopefully we'll get up to about 40 agents with a customer base of hopefully attracting almost 16,000 customers, and hope to be profitable by month 17 with the caveat of raising 500,000 in this current round. Last page. I want to thank you very much. Maana Mobile, it once again is that bridge between the poor and formal financial services we seek to bring to them. We're off to a great start with 3,500 activated merchants in townships of South Africa today. And with the 500,000 that we're seeking to raise currently for Maana Mobile, we can bring this to profitability and eventually scale beyond South Africa. Thank you.